We gather to honor the power of her. Not power that demands attention, not power that has to announce itself when it enters a room, but the kind of power that rises quietly before dawn, puts on scrubs, answers calls, comforts strangers, wipes tears, make difficult decisions, and still somehow find the strength to whisper, it's going to be all right. That is power. The power to care, the power to endure, the power to remain tender in a world that sometimes becomes painfully hard. And in this room today, we are surrounded by women who do not simply work in healthcare. You carry healthcare. You carry people, you carry burdens, you carry stories, and sometimes you carry all of that while silently carrying your own. You have the power to show up. Every day you walk into rooms where people are afraid, rooms filled with uncertainty, rooms where diagnoses change lives, rooms where families wait for answers, rooms where grief sits quietly in the corner, communities hungry for social change. And yet, you show up. You show up when your body is tired. You show up when your heart is heavy. You show up when life outside the hospital may already be asking more of you than you can give. And still you walk in. Still you care. Still you stand. That is power. Not because life has been easy, not because the road has been smooth, but because somewhere along the way, you made the decision, I will not allow hardship to stop me from being present. And presence is one of the greatest gifts a human being can offer to another. There are people who may never remember every word that you said, but they will remember how safe they felt because you walked into their room. They will remember your kindness, your patience, your calm voice, your steady hand, your compassionate eyes. Never underestimate the healing power of simply showing up, because long after procedures are forgotten, people remember presence. Then the power to care without losing yourself. As nurses, as chaplains, as leaders, as caregivers, you are constantly pouring emotionally, pouring physically, pouring spiritually, and sometimes the world applauds the pouring while ignoring the exhaustion. But today I want you to lean in close and hear this truth. You cannot continuously pour from an empty place and expect your soul not to become thirsty. Somewhere along the way, men and women were taught that strength meant silence, that resilience meant never pausing, that leadership meant carrying everything without complaint. But true empowerment is not self-neglect dressed up as sacrifice. Real empowerment says, I matter too. Rest is not weakness. Boundaries are not selfish. Saying I need a moment is not failure. It is wisdom. Because even the strongest among us must breathe. Even rivers rest in still waters before flowing again. So right now, I want to pause together for just a moment. Take a deep breath. Now, quietly ask yourself, what do I need today? Not what your role requires, not what your patients need, not what your staff expects, but what do you need? Pause. Now I want you to turn to the person next to you and say that one word that you need.
Everyone's on vacation, right? Lotto.
In the midst of the laughter, there was a word that you said. Can I get about 3 volunteers to say what you said? That one thing that you need. Peace. You're not the only one. In this room, there are so many others who just need some peace. Won't you hold your hand up if you just need some peace? Look around. Someone else willing to volunteer? The one thing that you need. Strength. How many in here just need a little more strength? You're not alone. You need strength. Let's take one more. The one thing that you need. Love. There's a song that said love makes the world go round, but love helps us to stand strong and grounded. You're not the only one. How many need love in the room? That moment of honesty, saying what you need, that moment of self-awareness, that is where empowerment begins. Because when you begin caring for what is happening within you, you strengthen the very person who has been strengthening everyone else. And what I have learned through the years of ministry, chaplaincy, and walking with people through suffering is that people are far more alike than they are different. We all want to be seen. We all want to matter. We all want space to breathe. And when self is empowered, it becomes easier to empower others. A strengthened inner life creates a stronger outer presence. The power of presence. In healthcare, we often think the power is only in what we do. The treatment, the intervention, the solution. But I want to suggest something deeper today. Sometimes the greatest power in the room is not what you do. It is who you are when you walk into that room. Because your presence changes atmospheres. Your calm can interrupt anxiety. Your compassion can soften fear. Your listening can help someone feel human again. Sometimes your stillness speaks louder than words. Sometimes your presence says you do not have to suffer alone. In a world moving fast, fixing fast, rushing fast, there is sacred power in a person willing simply to stay, to sit, to listen, to care deeply enough not to rush through their pain. Before I close, I want to share something deeply connected to my own work. In my newest book, Bring a Chair and Not a Needle, I talk about what it means to bring a chair into the room, to sit with people, to resist the urge to immediately fix everything, to understand that healing often begins not with answers, but with presence. Today, I want to extend that thought. What would it look like if you brought a chair to yourself? Come on. You spend your days sitting with everyone else's fears, everyone else's pains, everyone else's uncertainty. But empowerment deepens when you learn to sit with your own story too. To pause long enough to hear yourself, to care for yourself with the same compassion you give away so freely. Because the stronger your inner self becomes, the steadier your presence becomes. And the steadier your presence becomes, the more powerful your impact becomes. So today, as we celebrate the power of her, I want to leave you with this truth. You are not just nurses, you are not just chaplains, you are not just leaders, you are carriers of hope. You are steady hands in moments of fear. You are voices of reassurance in seasons of uncertainty. You are creating spaces where healing can begin. And you do it with grace, with resilience, with compassion, with extraordinary strength. That is power. So as you continue empowering others, do not forget to empower the woman who is doing the work. Bring a chair, not only to the patient, not only to the community, bring a chair to yourself. Sit long enough to hear your own heart. Sit long enough to replenish your own spirit. Sit long enough to remember that you are worthy of care as well. Because a strengthened, centered, restored you will always have more love to give. Thank you.